Yep, it's nighttime. Pulling a late one tonight. Trying to get caught up on some stuff. Got ourselves a 20, I think this is an 18 Silverado. Customer concern is electrical issues. For one, okay, the radio's not coming on. That's not coming on. Service to billet track, check engine light. We've got no power steering. All kinds of issues. Now, I went and picked this thing up earlier and can't hardly see. And when I was picking it up, the power steering come back. The lights changed on the dash. Oh boy, I may not be able to steer this around to the other side of the shop, but she's got wiring issues, I believe. Things just kind of coming and going intermittently. One of the complaints was sometimes the theft light comes on and stays on. Nothing else comes on, just the theft light. Golly! And oh, I can't hardly turn it. These trucks take a lot to turn them. But just having all kinds of intermittent issues. So let's get this thing in the shop, see what kind of codes we got in this thing, if we've got codes at all. It does not have a prindle, so you see we got no prindle there. So that automatically tells me we've got some kind of communication issues. So let's see what's going on with it. Should be a fun one. Alright, so we got the MVCI plugged up. Let's hit the auto scan. I'm not going to be too hopeful about this. I'm sure it's going to say no VIN. So it says vehicle connecting or communicating down there. I really don't think we're going to pull a VIN. I'll be real surprised if it does. Oh man, it did pull a VIN. That is not a VIN. That's different. Part of that is correct, I think. JG 202158. We had JG 2158. That's that's funny. Let me run through that again. See what happens again. So we got the ding. JG 202158. But this is garbage. This is this is correct. CPC EC, that's correct. LG, everything is correct except the 3. That has an L. We got a 3. Yeah, but the rest of that's right. That's crazy. Let's just build it, I guess. Buick, Chevrolet. Okay, let's just manually select because the VIN's not going to pull right. This is an 18 model. It's a Silverado. All right, let's get this smart scan going. Look right here, it's got the VIN correct right here. So somewhere it pulled it. But see, no COM, nothing. So you already know TCM is going to be no COM because we don't have a prindle there. So all this is high-speed CAN. Oh, we do got some EBCM code, power steering. So it is talking to something. BCM. So maybe at that time when it pulled this VIN, it might have pulled it from the BCM. I've noticed this tool sometimes it kind of queues modules. So like if it queues the ECM and it can't get a VIN, it'll like queue the TCM. And if it still can't get a VIN from the TCM, it kind of like goes down like a priority list of like, hey, what modules can we possibly get this VIN from until it finds it. And that might be why it was on the auto scan, it was pulling an L. A lot of people don't know, but some of these modules don't actually store the entire VIN. I think the cluster is possibly one of them, where it won't store the first letter or number of the VIN, only the rest of it. There's a few modules that are like that. They only store partial VINs. So that might have been where it got an L from. But either way, we have a few modules on the 6 and 14 high-speed CAN talking, and a lot that is not. CAN 1, this is going to be pin 1. They call it a CAN now. This used to be class 1, or no, they called it class 2, and now it's like a low speed CAN kind of thing. So it's like a single wire CAN bus. It's kind of weird, but all this looks fine. None of this other, well, radio's offline. Most of this stuff looks right. Park assist, I don't think this has park assist. We don't have a front view camera, so yeah. So that's definitely a weird pre-scan. Definitely got some communication issues going on with 6 and 14. So we're going to start off by disconnecting the scan tool, disconnecting the battery. We're just going to ohm check our DLC, make sure we've got connection from the DLC to terminating resistor in the rear, terminating resistor in the front, and make sure wiring integrity is intact. Now, I've showed this before, I'll show again because I think it's real important. So you see we're just pinned in here with some terminated leads and have the ohm meter here. As you can see, our ohms is kind of doing some crazy stuff. It's just kind of bouncing around all over the place. That's because the network is still active. I always, if I'm doing this check, I unhook the battery. Let me unhook it and we'll see what happens with this. Alright, so I'm going to take the battery cable off and y'all are going to watch the meter there. Hopefully it's still showing that weirdness. So here we go. Well, let's see what happened to it there. 114. So that is open circuit. We have somewhat of an open circuit there. Try to get this light a little bit better. There you go. 115 ohms. So I'm assuming that's going to be towards the ECM side. So what I'm going to actually do now is unplug the ECM and see if this changes at all. Alright, so unplugging the ECM now. Did that change? It went up just a little bit. So maybe we have a partial connection there. Let's plug it back up. There we go. 112. It's a little interesting. See, it does have some kind of path through the ECM. Or maybe a single wire broke or something like that. At least we know we're heading towards the ECM. Alright, we're going to try to keep this one simple. See how far we can get using basically an ohm meter. I've got it just kind of sitting here. I've got one lead still jumped to the DLC down there. It's in pin 6. So we're going to need a diagram, because anytime you're doing troubleshooting with wiring, you need to have a diagram. So if you don't have service information, why even bother? You've got to have a diagram to know what you're looking at. So I've got just the factory diagram pulled up here, Okay, so we got the rear resistor here and chassis control module, suspension, EBCM. We had some communication with the EBCM, power steering, we had that, body control module. This one here is the serial gateway. I don't remember if I had communication with that or not. I really can't remember. And then right here is our DLC, which then goes through this junction block, through a transfer case. If this is four-wheel drive, let's see. No, this is a two-wheel drive. Pretty sure it would be right here. If I remember right, all of them are right here if they're four-wheel drive. Pretty positive. Yeah, I'm not seeing a four-wheel drive switch at all in this. So we're two-wheel drive. So I'm not even going to pay attention to this transfer case. We're going to have a little jumper harness, basically go from one side of the junction box to the other, out to a transmission. We could have two different transmissions. We could have a MYC or an M5U. This one has the transmission dipstick there. So we are a 6-speed, so we're a MYC. And then to the engine computer, which is terminated in X1, pin 39 and 40, with our other 200 or 120 ohm resistor. So I'm needing to know from our pin 6, see we're blue wire, circuit 2500, is it good getting to right here, pin 39 of the engine control module? So let's get this connector view pulled up right here and see if our wire is good. At these connector views, we've got a lot of different engine RPO codes here. I think this one's an L96, but I'm not 100% sure. We could have an L83 or an L86, so let's see if we can figure that out real fast. And if I remember right, this one's got the QR code in the door. Yes, it does. So if I just take my camera on my phone here and come on, there we go. It can pull up the VIN number and the RPO codes, and we have a L83. So I don't know if you see that right there, but L83, and then the MYC transmission. So if y'all didn't know how to use the QR code, that's how. I've noticed though some of these do not have the full RPO list in them. Sometimes they're missing some, but that gets you most of the important ones. So now we know which connector view we need, the L83. All right, so here's our connector view, and right here we've got pin 32 and then 33 over here. So we need pin 39 and 40 will be our two data. So we're gonna have to start from this pin and just count over to 39. I'm gonna try to keep everything in the camera view here. No promises, but from our diagram, I always kind of just judge off of what pin's noticeable. Like this one's got this pin here that's noticeable. All right, so that tells me that if I remember right from my diagram, is pin 1. So yeah, from the diagram, our noticeable pin, which is 73, pin 1. So we got 17 and then 33. So we got pin 1, 17, 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 right there. And that's in kilo ohms. Let's go over to our other pin, 40. You see how that's 120? So pin 39 is the one that has high resistance. We have high resistance in circuit 2500, which is our CAN bus pin 6 on the DLC. So that is what we need to chase down. And the reason why we got 120 there is we're seeing the terminal resistor that is in the rear of the truck. So from the DLC to here and here back to that resistor, we've got a complete circuit. So we need to trace down that circuit right there. All right, so let's kind of look at this here. Kind of see if we can break this down a little bit. We've got from pin 6 here through this little splice pack here, or it's not even really a splice pack, it's just a splice in the wire, over to this junction box. We loop right here because we have no transfer case. All right, and back up through the TCM here on the transmission, and then up and around. Where would the most likely issue be? Well, since this is a car lot truck, I could easily see how this could be an issue. Probably getting pressure washed out, getting water in this, causing some corrosion issues. This transmission connector possibly has an issue with it, you know, so you kind of have to make a decision. Which end do you want to start at? Do you want to start at the ECM and work your way backwards, or do you want to start at the DLC and work your way to the ECM? It's really one of those things, you just kind of have to pick your battle. Which one's easier? This connector is real easy to get to. This junction box is real easy to get to. But for me, the way I'm looking at this is I've got two connections right here. Right here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 connections that I can check all right here. And this is super easy to get to. So this is going to be where I start at. All right, so here is the junction box that it's talking about. So let's just go ahead and pop the cover off here. I know it's going to be dark. I'm sorry. Don't have very good lighting in the shop. Plus this thing's kind of, it's late, it's dark outside. And this thing's going to be a pain to pop off because I'm trying to video. There we go, finally. So we're looking for X4, and the connector view shows it's a green connector, so I don't know, surely you can tell this is the green connector. And then we're looking for pins 5, I believe it was, on my harness. Let's see. Yeah, pin 5. So it should be a corner pin. Let's get some more flashlight in here. And you can actually see the blue wire right up here. So that's where I want to check first. And what I'm going to do is just have my own meter here. Let's see. I'm not sure. There we go. Try to get that where y'all can see that. And I'm just going to use a back probe needle to just touch the terminal. If I can actually get in here and see it myself. I don't want to disturb too much stuff. There we go. So 0.2 ohms. So from our DLC here, coming into that junction box, we've got good continuity, 0.3 ohms of resistance. So now I need to go to the connector where it is coming out. All right, so the connector view is for X8 now, and it says it's a black connector, and it's only got 2 rows, and it's going to be up there in the top. I really don't know if I'll get you guys in there to see that. And then on the diagram, we're looking for pin 10, and then it'll be going back in on pin 13. So pin 10 is a corner. Okay, so I can actually see it. I'm definitely probably not going to be able to get you guys in there to see that, but okay, there we go. 0.3 ohms. So it's making it through the junction box the first time just fine. Now let's see if I can find the other one. We're gonna go ahead and skip over to X2, which is a gray connector, and there is no gray connectors on the front of this thing. So I'm actually gonna have to unbolt this because there's connectors on the back. I can kind of barely see the other wire up there in the top. I'll go ahead and check it, but I don't think my issue is going to be in this little jumper, no. Now, as you can see, 0.3 ohms. We're in the other jumper going back into the junction box, and it's hard to see up in there. So now I'm down to getting this box out so I can get to this back connection, which the front of this thing doesn't look like it's been soaked. I'm really not thinking I'm going to find my issue here. I may skip taking this out and go to the transmission, because I think the transmission plug will be easier to test than what this will. Alright, so here's our transmission connector. Hopefully I don't get my head in the way. And it's kind of hard to see. I'm not really seeing the blue wire at all. Well, maybe a little bit right there. I think that's the blue wire. So I've got my meter. Let's just see if I can back probe this in here. And on the meter, hopefully that'll focus and you can see it. We're at 0.9 ohms on that terminal. I'm not real sure which terminal that is. And where did my phone go? Let's look at the connector view for this thing. Yep, that's a complicated one. It's almost like I'm rotated. So the diagram shows we've got it coming in on 14 and out on 10. So 14 is an outer edge pin. 10 is also. So I guess we'll just try to find the other one in here and check it also. Okay, there it is. So here's the other one. I'm sure my head's all up in the way. And that one is 0.8 ohms as well. So the issue seems to be from the transmission up to the engine control module. And I don't think there was any breaks in the circuit between there. No, there's not. There is not. That should be a solid run from here up to the engine control module. So we need to be looking for some wiring harness chafe somewhere. I wanted to re-verify this, and now look at this. Whatever connection I have wiggled or pulled on has fixed the issue. temporarily. That's what sucks about this. I definitely think we're going to be dealing with a terminal fretting issue or a loose pin tension issue. Either way, me just barely wiggling wires has made us have a good ohm reading again. I bet if I plug this up right now, I can code scan this thing and it'll be perfect. So let's try that. So let's just take the key and we'll crank this thing, just see if we've got any kind of weird messages. Open, close driver window, of course. I'm not sure what this is all about. That almost looks like a bad ground to these things for some reason. But we've got no lights, we've got a Prindle. I'm not sure what's going on with those. This may give us a clue as to where we need to go, maybe. Not real sure. That's going to really be annoying. So let's reconnect here. I guarantee it's going to pull a VIN number. Everything's going to be perfectly fine. Yep, VIN number's good. Radio's still not on, so we may have a dead radio. That may be a completely separate issue altogether, because it's on the low speed. It's not even on high speed, which it did communicate that time, but it's not turning on. This is kind of funny. So full code scan. We've got all the modules talking now. What do? Do you ship it? Nope. We're going to end up having to go through these connectors one by one, check pins, check for any kind of corrosion on the pin, check pin fitment, and just start at one and go down the line. Somewhere down the line, I fixed it. Like, basically just that little bit of movement cleaned off and made the connection again. This will be a hard one to figure out.